The English translations of Xinjiang, which are flexibility and pliancy, do not quite communicate its meaning. Can Rinpoche please say something to better define just what is Xinjiang? Di Xinjiang inji gyula sopo yomaresa. Chetsan di Xinjiang gi dun kari di Xinjiang gi tsini ya Xinjiang gi tsini ya pei.
가서를 지당신 제도기 아니 유 아니 가서를 띵에서 공부를 내서로마 유양마 세면 아니 sem 띵에서 공부를 아니 내서로마 어때라 시계를 지진 차와 가서 따라야 전성화 디마보지로 아니 상로다 들주들 상로다는 통그랬어.
So then it's basically a kind of workability of the mind or the body that arises out of the process of analysis or out of the process of stabilization. And it's good if one can reread the portions of the text that we already
Teni yang sine tupti kana tingi tinda ani nyamba jatopji ani nyamba jobi topji chambi ani lisim lesrunga chik yan ti sindi taba chinel chicheche teni yang jatopji chambi ani soto sinegi miba yutomba nyetela ani sinegi ngane ani soso chebi jatopji chambi 아야 리선 예스노아 좋아 오 텐저 다 민자 여바든죠 다 대통령도 왔지 아버지도 왔잖아 안테하고 그랬어요.
So basically initially this flexibility or pliancy is something that actually occurs whenever one is involved with doing virtuous activities, not even just talking about meditation as such, but any kind of virtuous activity. The body and mind have a certain functionality or ability to perform what one is trying to accomplish. So that's the basic sense of this, which is present in any kind of virtuous activity. But then in the context of developing shamatha, then as we said, then once one has the power to remain single-pointedly fixated on the object without any kind of interruption or distraction and effortlessly, then there's the bodily and mental pliancy or workability. The mind's and body are able to perform as one wishes them to perform. And then the same thing applies in the case of developing insight, in which by the force of analysis, one develops this an additional form of flexibility of body and mind, or workability of the body and mind.
Oh yeah.
If we do not complete the text today, could we hear it, the rest of it, tomorrow or perhaps next year? Gendi diringi shungdi chatsang matsana dini sani tsotugir beyana
chagri taguman da lando inda chayame chagri
di kasa di jugla kara
sarfirda
이제 투모만이 비 도지 택발라 랍 주시에부터
내 도로고에 말에 도지 티버디 때나가 통노로 봐 상돈 하나 지주다.
So Rinpoche says we're going to finish the long insight section today.
Yeah. 다 다시 가려서 다시 다 광대 기론데 마 칭찬이 다 대제라 아니 가서래 시신 명하기 어디 가서래 제도지 참비 신의진 안에 랑금이바다 소소지 참비 소소지비 제도지 참비 아니 셔럽 이나요 리셉 신장 그때와 마스기 파도 아니 상동 진대바 임바데 다 다중 지시했잖아 다 대한 지바지 자래 대 리단섬 신도 장바 토바 대니라 내데 대니라 내데 지달 삼바 대니지 다 지내기 가수 리슨 신장 토바 대니라 내데 지달 삼바 대니지 나게 띵게지 지유지 띵게지 소년지 지유라 하바 매배 다 유동반이나 가라 소소 다바 차디其实都 류당섬 신도 장바 마제바 제도지 참비 리전 신장 마제바 대식도니 상동 당 제수팀이 일하 쳐봐 이나 다지대로 와 관계자와 대진 한돈 대체자 말해
진짜
말해 진짜래 만약 대진 관련
인사
순대래
말해 인치 중대 오래 중대의 인사기 용요와 이 딜의 지참기나 신의 당 활동 대벌 규칙 양발성도 죽었다
대신자 인사를 근데시 토마토 순대 타바 주에서 어디인데 추아반의 순대 되고 말아 니 가대진 거샤와는 심자면도
실학 숭들
대신에 덤수지 되고 와서들에 어디래 시라손데 덤수지 되고 와 눈이 년산에 소어들이 대라 지점진이 신내당 한동 대화 규칙 냠발 순도 주바탕 관계나 순도 대화 주비람写차나 아 거기 안에 가서 뒤지점나 신내당 한동 대화 시킨 안에 시라는 냠도 순도 주바탕 윤전 관계니 안에 시라 순도 대화 주비람写차写나 들어야되체 매와 semnamba 고 타래 다야게 신의 주제기 아니 semne 고 남바 고 타래 디다데 냠바샤비 냠바샤비 남바 고 한여바 토바 주신 스니 semne 고 아니 sem미바라 시다 된데도 냠바자비 띵내지 아니 됐을제지비 띵내지 토바 주신 띵내지디 용서 주발라 때네 아니 합이 셔럽 셔남바 제발라 rab도 점바 체대 다치 고와 강연바 테라 때네 아니 신내 주바 테라 때네 아니 아니 ngār지 신내기 미바 동바제 테라 합이 셔럽 셔남바 제발라 아니 점바 체대 소소 점바 체대 대시 셔남바 제바티 람랑기 랑기 주바당 조와매바 주바 추신 배조매바 주바 추신 신내지 남치다와 신도 엄반 두체바 매바 매배 아니 상동 용수타바 디제 상동 용수타바다 아니 용수 창와다 신내지 예수 성와다 냠대회 시가나 아니 신장기 대회 용수 심바 주대 대실 신내당 상동 제와 냠바 추진 냠바 주바 신내당 항동 제와 주비람写차오 다데시레샤
So then this is the next section is why the reason scripture which or passage of the text from the Shravaka Bhumi which shows why it's necessary to conjoin shamatha and vipassana, combine them into a pair such that their force is equivalent. They need to be connected such that their force is equivalent. And then the passage from the Shravaka Bhumi is as follows. To what extent is it that shamatha and vipassana are fused or blended together such that they cooperate as a team, and by what reason is it that, or by what means is it that one calls them the path in which they operate conjoined as a pair or cooperate as a team? And then if you ask that, the reply is that from the mind having resided upon the 9 stages of stabilization, so that's the cause for them coming together as a pair, and it's like this. when one has obtained one of the 9 different stages of mental stabilization in the process of developing shamatha, and then when one having accomplished those 9 stages, then one fully accomplishes meditative concentration, here referring to single-pointed meditative concentration. Then, in dependence upon that perfection or complete accomplishment of single-pointed meditative concentration, then using superior wisdom, here superior wisdom is wisdom focused upon emptiness. The object here is emptiness, which one has established previously. And by means of that kind of wisdom, one makes a great deal of effort towards the investigation and investigation of phenomena. And then at that time, the path of that investigation and analysis of phenomena operates automatically, meaning operates effortlessly. And then, just as was the case within the path of shamatha, here as well, since there is no creative activity within the context of, because it's effortless and automatic, there's no activity necessary, and therefore one's insight is completely pure. Is completely exactly correct, and is completely purified, and it follows shamatha, and it is completely governed by an experience of bliss. Here the experience of bliss is reference to the pliancy or flexibility that's been mentioned before. And therefore, for such a person, shamatha and vipassana, these two are fused together and they cooperate, and then that is what is called the path in which shamatha and vipassana have been joined together as a pair, or one could even say harnessed together as a team.
Oh yeah, that's Sila Sunde, Landon Tobata, and then Sila Sunde Toba, and that. Tudy taking by in Zang. That take Sila Sunja to be Tudy, Landon Toba Tis and Sila Sunja Tubaki, Tuy in Baki, Shejetela, Gordon Tamale, Chide, Kangis, Chiwadan Gobala, Embichir, Nyamba Shaban, Nyamba Shushin, Sida, Shine, Ra, Chiwada Gobala, Embichi, Nyamba Shushin, Rangi Jube, Tekwana in the Simpson to Sawa Chuan Tis. 아니 제주담바 안에 려바기 따념 수차디 예요아 가소래 녀왕아 그냐네 아니 성경 마주나 아니 려바 지신거 려바 따념 수차디 대세 신내다 한동그랑 주반이 르바 차오 시간다 될 성도와 냐바 쇼시랑 그 주베 태권하니라스 아니 심 신도 싸워 주와 뒤세 싸워 주와 뒤세에서 다디 뒤세 신내다 난도 선도 주베랑 르바슈바 예수바 다디 다 다시 나시라 임바레 그러와 냥샤 티잉 안에 아니 동미 sem이발라 아니 소소소비 셰럽징 랑징 안게 주베 테라 셈시도 샤와 싸워 총아 티세라 아니 조르베 당님 싸워 총아 티세 아니 소소소비 셰럽이 제바기 아니 제게 조와데 르베 당님도 차세 티세 아니 신나다 한도 손도 주베 람 주바임바 르바 차오 예수바 따르 한동 탑이 참데
So then the evidence for the text which demonstrates the time at which one has accomplished this coordination or conjunction of shamatha and shamatha and insight, such that they're joined together in a pair. Here, first one should say that it's when they're actually joined together in a pair that, and they're operating together as a team, that one has actually developed the definitive form of insight. Conjoining them as a pair is itself the achievement of the definitive form of insight. So then the final stages of meditation says, if one wants to know at what time, at the time when one has become separated from sinking and scattering, such that they cooperate and they operate automatically, and then by means of that cooperation and automatic operation of shamatha and insight, when the mind becomes extremely clear with respect to reality, then at that time one should relax one's effort. And here, relaxing effort in the context of the development of insight refers to relaxing the efforts that one employs in engaging in the analytical investigation of the object that one is examining, and then leave the mind alone in that state. And then at that time, shamatha and insight are when that's achieved, at that time one should understand that one has accomplished the path, which conjoins shamatha and insight together as a pair.
Oh yeah.
As that says, then that's also the boundary or border at which one has obtained the definitive form of insight.
나한테는 제배신의 참비제다 유라 소소 제비 아니 소소기 제도기 아니 양 신의 참비 채나 나 대니오데 제도의 참비 신의당 소소 제발 제비 셔라니오데 아니 뒤지도 아니 편지 충전도 송대 제와기谢谢되라 시시명아래 뒤여도 나바도바다 제비 소년 다 신의기 유 동반이라 소바텔라 미데 샘대니라 미바 대니래 강그세 규미체바당 파르마제비 일체비 수지스 가서 파르마제비 일체비 수지 균기 니가 냥수녀와 세가라 샘제주바당 소소도비 셔럽 니가 냥수녀와 티체 아니 신내다 상동 순도지베 남시 제대 와 이러봐 다 되라 되기 가서 그래 되라 신내다 상동이 다 장은 들어왔으니까 되라 신내다 상동이 송이라 레와니 담바데 편지 지년 주보写送的 여기 지년 주보写送的 여기 규미자바당 파르마제비 일라쳐봐 사대 파르마제바 제대 오메자금당 신행이 그 파라 자금 되니지 초상네 미도바 샤미고바 미도바 자금 되니지 초상네 아니 양나바 미도바라 샤미고바 자금 되니지 아니 미도바 템비 템바체 그래서
지금 되니기
자금 되니 여기 파르마제바 세가 전다데 가르래 해서나 아니 파르마제바니 자금 되니지 초상네 잡아 채워야 샤네 아니 또 미도바 샤미고바 미도바라 샤 아니 가 자네 미도바라 냠바 샤미고바 자금 되니지 아니 미도바 템바 라 템바체 야
So then, the text which demonstrates that at the time that shamatha is brought forth by the process of analysis, that analysis itself brings forth shamatha, then shamatha and insight at the same time cooperate such that they're joined together as a pair, and they're associated with each other at the same time. The text which shows that's the case is quoted next. And here this is again the instruction on the perfection of wisdom. And that text says that after that, when one is observing reality via an image which is together with conceptuality, so this here reality is emptiness. And so one is observing emptiness or reality as an image which is conjoined with conceptuality. Then, having observed it like that, then that very mind, when that very mind is continuous and uninterrupted, that is the continuity of one's attention with respect to that object is continuous and uninterrupted. The simti kangitse gyumi chepa barma chepe. The simteni la kangitse gyumi chepa tan barma chepe.
Barma chepa said the jagum tinji trashane and the midoba shakova shamukova. Some midoba la shamuk, the mayumukova. Jagum tinji midoba damba.
So when that very mind, which is the analytical examination of the object, here is uninterrupted and is continuous and uninterrupted attention. There's a stream of this attention which is continuous and uninterrupted. Then, by means of that continuity, one experiences both of them. At that time, then shamatha and vipassana or insight here is referring to the analytical examination and investigation of the object. Then that is what is called the path, which conjoins shamatha and insight together as a pair. And then, so that's expressed as in that, using that term of the path, which conjoins them together as a pair or harnesses them as a team. And then, with respect to that, shamatha and insight are a pair or a team, and the joining of them is their conjunction, such that they operate bound to each other. So that's the quotation from the instruction on the perfection of wisdom. Then the comment on that says that where it says uninterrupted, it says that without needing to place aside So without needing to put aside the flow of that very analytical meditation, and then placing oneself into a state of non-conceptuality, without doing it like that. Instead, that very analytical meditation itself brings forth or induces non-conceptuality.
Oh yeah, that is it. So to be Jeremy Jebi Jagum Tang, Tea Chambi Mitoba New, Mitoba Jamba was in a Tea Chambi Mitoba New Tea, Janjonga New Tea, Tea Miji Jang. That Shila Sunday Pendant to Candere, Sena. Niga Yanson, and Mitobi Sunyana may be Sinya Tang, Niga Yanson, and he said, Any Shila Sunday Niga Yanson, Mitobi, any Mitoba Sunyana may be Sinya Tang. Number Toba da Jevi Sunyana may be Handon Nigas, Mitoba, Sana, Jesoso Jeba Michibala, Sinela Koache. Number Toba da Jevi Sunya said, and then Handon Niga, Yansuno war. Diage, Casore, same thing la Congress, Gimajaba, said Gunji, Shevi, Shewani, and 요를 동반이라 소설 제비 항동당 아니 제다를 내비 시내니 돼지도 매주 왕도 제지 단단 공도 해야 돼. 라 제다 내비 윤지 샤와의 제비 항동당 제다를 내비 제바라 때내 주위 시내니 돼지도 매주 왕도 제지建中啊，今天听没去讲才听，这都比西南我常比西南去推手是这边都比西南我常比推，我常比俺那西南给搞不太，西南给推手，其他话了没比吃了都俺这去上当当，其他话了自己都带来，那位盯着你，俺那存在的中华西南的存在的就高，我对了，大家个。没去讲，希腊你喷出就做你才的对不对？是吧？这都去长比去，我长比西南去推手，这都去长比西南去推手。俺呢，其他话了没比吃了都，俺们就跟上当当。现在其他话了自己都担把那边盯着牛的，盯着西南牛的，推起都存在的就过来，我听着为在那里，你希腊人这话的，两把就把我啊。
So then the explanation of this is as follows: that here in it's not necessarily the case that
建中你提没就讲是干了的吧？这把他做把牛的提起把嘛的吧？俺去俺了这把这提着了，俺你今天讲用过的吧？现在我从说啊，这我们去没到把这把谁干？俺了说这把这我们钱提起了，俺那提没到把这把人家提俺去，是吧？就没做把的吧？俺去的吧？
So then, although it's, one can say that the analytical portion and the stabilization portion of these are prior and subsequent, such that they're not, they don't occur at the same time. Nevertheless, it's when there's a way in which shamatha and insight are operate cooperatively. They operate they cooperate with each other, such that they're conjoined as a pair. And then this is explained in commenting on the passage that was cited above from the instruction on the perfection of wisdom, where it says both are experienced in that passage that was just cited. It's referring to the shamatha, which observes the object, the image here, I should say, shamatha, which observes the image in a non-conceptual way. Here, non-conceptual can be read as understood as non-analytical. It's a placement meditation, so it's not doing analysis. And then the insight, which observes the image together with conceptuality, or that is referring then to an analytical process of examining, observing the image. When those two, or both of those, are experienced, the two, shamatha and the insight, both are experienced. Where the passage above says continuously, it is referring to that the insight, which is the analytical portion of this, and the shamatha, which remains at the end of the analysis. In the text cited above, it's done in accordance with these two not occurring simultaneously. However, it's nevertheless the case that by means of the force of analysis, at the time when shamatha is brought, when an actual shamatha is brought forth, by means of the force of analysis, then the insight which the insight which is investigating, properly analyzing phenomena, which is observing things as they are. Here again, referring to emptiness, observing things as they are. So that insight, as well as the shamatha, which is single-pointed meditative concentration, which is remaining stably upon that object, which is things as they are, emptiness. Those two operate in association, or they're cooperating in that way. And at that time, at a time such as that, shamatha and insight both are fused such that they operate together. They're cooperating with each other.
Oh yeah, that's one. Tenderwi sana shilani jewati nyamba chugo. Telani komjungu toba tobo. Ta tenderwi ane shila sunje toba telani ane komjungu toba ya toba re. Right?
So in order to have that, it's necessary that one has obtained the understanding which arises from meditative practice.
So in since it's necessary for one to have the understanding which arises from the practice of meditation, the wisdom which arises from meditation, the understanding of from that, then here it says that the combination of shamatha and vipassana, such that one is on the one hand has developed shamatha in such a way that it's similar to a tiny fish which is floating within a body of water which is completely immobile. That's the firm stabilization portion of the shamatha. So one is within the sort of essence of non-conceptuality, which is this stabilized, very firm stabilization, similar to a tiny fish which is floating across an immobile body of water. So within that condition or state, and without interrupting without interrupting that non-conceptual sort of infused essence of stability, then one engages in the analytical investigation and analysis of the meaning of selflessness. And then if one does that, such as the two are combined, then that would be presented as being concordant with
the conjunction of shamatha and insight, but it's not the actual final conjunction of it. Doesn't, that alone is not sufficient to be the actual combination of shamatha and insight as a pair. Again, 니촉 디 실학 제통 버조나
전화 마도스라 미도 베지 마셔 다음에 터서 소소 제베 초비 니조라 시라 전님 버조나 다들 하고 서 전화 마도 시라 뭐 찬이 버자 지라 소리 뭐 찬이 버자 또 말했어 내 얘기 가서래 세미발라 제주도 내비 아니 미도 봐 나당 아니 가서래 ting ane shine jing ane yula soso tobi sherab ki jebi ani o da ko sherab ni bo chi ni zo de是吧 가서 신장 그때가 마시면 같이 단노 진짜 봐요.
So there, here what's being said is that in that case, I mean, you have shamatha, which is extremely well established, such that it's like the mind is like a tiny fish floating across a immobile body of water, and the stabilization is such that that stability is not interrupted in any way, and yet and then within that one engages in analytical investigation of the object here, in this case emptiness. But that alone is not sufficient. That is what is described as the state of being conforming to shamatha and insight, the conjunction of them. But it's not the actual definitive conjunction of them, because that alone is not qualified by the special pliancy of body and mind. The pliancy of body and mind, or flexibility of body and mind, are necessary for it to be the actual conjunction of insight and shamatha.
Oh yeah, that didn't that take any budget. She like Shaba two inside. In that you are true upon this. She like to only castle. She never handled to that. She like Sunday to and Sunday Jesu. What that and true upon the. 안에 공된 그 정시 시에고 왔다. 안에 라른 예세 라른 체모나 시에고 왔다. 담바데라. 대다시라 손도 제비 추니雄空마 대다네 중화시 시와 차이. 다 여기 참박이 너대 견다 유다. 토미기 사디. 아니 까마리 시를 고른 파마. 아니 신디와기 아니 가서 시진 명하라 소와 아니 다 대다라 셰바 나신 제 중화 나신 흉쿠마 대다네 중화시도 셰와 차이 대래 현도 줬다네 챵발라 이대 미샤오 스타 오 흉쿠마 대다네 셰발레 로 셰바 대다레 이대와 말이 대다라 믿음바 대다레 이대 말 미샤오.
So then showing that getting rid of mistakes about this by showing that it's necessary to understand this as it's taught in the authoritative text, the texts which are authoritative. And then, likewise, that an advice that one should understand, needs to understand this from an extensive explanation, the extensive explanation of the stages of the path, which as is found in the greater stages of the path text. So this instruction is as follows. Thus, this way of conjoining shamatha and insight together as a pair, or harnessing them together as a team, should be understood as it appears in those authoritative source texts. And then the authoritative source texts are, as mentioned above, those which are taught by the Lord Maitreya and the Arya Asanga, and as well as the master Kamalashila and the Master Ratnakara Shanti, as was cited above in the various texts of the Lord Maitreya, the works of Arya Sangha, and then the stages of meditation of Master Kamalashila, and then the instruction on the perfection of wisdom of Ratnakara Shanti. All of those one should understand it as it's taught in those texts, but one should not have any trust in explanations which elaborate, which exaggerate or superimpose upon this process in some way that is other than that.
Oh yeah, 이따마 메자오 장주 남지 림비 장주 남지 림비 타저당 세제지 농당 아니 권비수 개와니 아니 라른 침이 나라봐 아니 시와 샤오 다시 라른 침이 나도 아니 봐 송네 텐저라 아니 샹반자니 시와 샤오 그래 디 아니 갈로면 만나지 되죠 아니 가서래 리베당 롱게 개와 좀 파테네 아니 종주녀와 두어로 코디도 차오고 자기가라 냠서 연수다 라렌데 오지 아니 숭아 인상 대 개와들 라루 쳐몰라 아니 샴반 제바인 바래.
So then, in order to, it says here, one should understand the definitive reasoned determination of the stages of the path to awakening, as well as the scriptures which are the evidence for that, and likewise the ways of meditating and cultivating the stages of the path more extensively, as they're explained in the extended stages of the path text. Here, this is what referred to now as the great stages of the path. And so one needs to understand them in that way. In that text, they're given together for the most intelligent and in a way which is difficult for people of less intellectual capacity to understand, because it's presented in an extremely extensive way with elaborate discussion of the reasoning behind each of the points, all of the different source texts that the entire path is based upon, and it's so extensive that it's not easily understood by people that have not studied this extensively. So therefore, in this text here, J. Rinpoche has abridged the essential meaning of it in a way which is presented, and it's presented in a way such as so people like ourselves can understand this more easily, and particularly it's presented in a way that's designed for easy practice.
Oh yeah, that digi 상동 첨보가 다 마치잖니. 다 디는 마치니 아니 남지는 바 지도와디. Tsongkhapa lamjiri ji duwa ji lamji den duwa sumle tambo lamji jianzhou tani lamji ten duwa junsa jaba chade da thoma karikuwa re sana ani lamji ten thoma lamji zawa xinye denzui la tube ti dasha jade ro oda labrin didu ka suba nashi tena dishi lezo tinye ba tendi leba dribe zawa ne lamji xinye chamba 배바이 삼단제가 수시 땜바차 소나시 자리가라 아니 토마데라 아니 천이단 대비 아니 신이 짜니 어 천이단 대마다 야보 따니 아니 텐다바데라 아니 신이 대비 파연당 마덴비 님이 삼비권에 아니 대제라 삼배된주당 교회 된주 자와 대바장마다各种结束讲吧我听说关于干了，俺那他妈新界电柱了，2百，哦，咱们要不用到没用的新界电柱了200人呗，俺那体验大下节的新界电柱来不来大下节的，俺那新界电柱要不去穷上了，天呢，俺那体检了，俺那咱们就找我新界电脑落奖的人把这都上过的。
So then now is given a brief abridgment of the meaning, the general meaning of the or general an abridgment of the general way in which one progresses on the path, And first comes the way in which one proceeds through the general path. And that's the subdivision that's inserted into the basic text. So the basic text here says, now I'll express a little bit of a summation of the general meaning of the path. I should say that first, what we've just done concludes the section on the actual insight section of this intermediate stages of the path, and now is given a summation of an overview of the general way in which one proceeds through the path. So I should express a little bit of the meaning, a summation of the general path.
Oh, yeah.
First, so at the very first, because this comes down to the way in which one serves and relies upon a virtuous friend, one has to come to a firm resolution of that. What that means is that first one has to encounter a virtuous friend, a teacher who's able to explain the path to you properly. And the way one determines whether or not one has done that is by understanding the various qualifications of the spiritual friend and evaluating whether or not the spiritual friend has the qualifications and is able to guide one on the path. Then once one has done that, then one actually engages in the process of serving and relying upon the spiritual friend, and one does that by, first of all, by coming to understand the benefits of properly serving and relying upon a spiritual friend, and then likewise the negative consequences if one does not properly serve and rely upon a virtuous friend. So once one is familiar with the benefits and consequences of either properly serving or not serving the spiritual friend, then one has to actually do that by means of one's mentally as well as through one's verbal and physical behavior. So the beginning of the path is a clear determination of the way in which one serves and relies on a virtuous friend.
Oh, yeah. Then that Tawala Nimboland, Gemma Mimba Gena, Te, and the Dubala Nana Kuwe, Te Bichedu, and a Tanjot Gom Sundikana, and a Mugomba Getan Travel Tawa, Jawa Jutawa, Yanjo Jutan, or tender with somebody, and a castle, Tenshawa. Oh, Tenshawa, never did the Tenshawa, Tadula than the Tenshawa, Kajima relation to Tenshawa, so you Tenshawata. Anita Pedang, Ani Dudan, where you gonna near Kawala saw, some December. Ani Indian, the some December, Ani Tawala Imbol, the German Mayin body, Jene, Ani Lamyam Sulambala Tuba, Ani Sanju Kumi, Rangi Nana Kuba Jongure, Kue, Inza, or Tentendavi, Ani Dubanan, Tanjola, Tendekibi Chidu, Ani Tanjo Juquanam, Tanjong Sumata, and Tenshawata, Yabakawala Soha, and the Tentam, Gungure.
Then after that, one who wishes to take the essence of this opportunity that one has, one needs to develop that sort of desire such that it's not artificial, but rather is natural to one. When one it gives rise to that non-contrived or non-artificial desire to make use of the essence, to take the essence out of this opportunity that one has obtained, then one has to, in order to accomplish that, have it such that it arises from within one. It drives one from within, and in order to accomplish that, in order to generate that inner drive to accomplish what one wishes with this opportunity that one has, one needs to meditate upon the topics which pertain to the opportunity and the moment of opportunity and the sort of leisure and fortune, so-called, or this moment of opportunity that one has acquired. Here, the topics of this moment of opportunity, or the leisure and fortune of a human life that's endowed with all of the various attributes and free from the different impediments to practice. In order to do that, one needs to think about the great value of this kind of existence that we've obtained. One so one has to think about the great value of this moment of opportunity that we've acquired, and then likewise how difficult it is to actually obtain this kind of a moment. That it's difficult to obtain this because it's just extremely rare in and of itself, and then it's easy to lose it, and it's something that it doesn't come along very often. So all of these different ways, there are multiple ways to meditate upon this topic of the moment of opportunity that we're endowed with at this present moment.
Oh yeah, 단조지 거는 거 대네 최대 되니지 로마로나 네 가서래 태지 되니지 로마로 봐면 최대 나샤 말로나 아니 가서래 지대 치마 되니지 로 잡고 미중외 저와 치마 온도류된 튼튼이외 그로 잡고 미중외 뭐다 가서래 대 영의 체도 아니 단다 단조 그때 토바디 른도 미네비 른도 미데바기 아니 치와 미다버고 너와 치와다 남징에마다 아니 치위지 체참 미다바라서와 아니 미다바다 치와 미다바다 신의장 아니 가서 매도 민주바 아니 내게디기 예수잖아 아니 안조 참석권 받아 백괴 그와 남족이 가서 뭐 주중에 나시 전에 자주야
So then once one's meditated on those topics, the topics pertaining to the moment of opportunity and that we've obtained, then at that time, if one doesn't get rid of the attitude which is concerned only with this current life, then one won't give rise to any special, any kind of very strong aspiration to wish to strive for what's going to occur in one's next life, in the next world. And since that won't occur, then that being the case, then one has to make effort at meditating upon the fact that this moment, this body that one's obtained at present, this body is the basis of the moment of opportunity that one has. And this body that we've obtained, which is endowed with the freedom to practice and all of the different positive qualifications for doing practice, it won't remain very long. This body won't remain very long, and it's inevitably followed by the form of impermanence, which is death. That is. Death is the final, the end of this body. Then and after, so one has to meditate upon that, make effort at meditating on that, and then also meditate on the fact that after one dies, one is liable to wander in the evil forms of existence, in the evil migrations of the lower realms of existence subsequent to this life. And so one has to meditate on those in order to get rid of the attitude which is only interested in the current life.
아니 내가 치와 남정님이 아니 치위지 최강의 강도양 아니 미변봐 신의장 아니 가서 매도 민줘봐 아니 개발련 개발라야 아니 안줘다 된조 일에 매배 아니 가서래 된조 제제길 아니 주마주바 연장 아니 안줘 참주래 매봐 안줘 참주 참 안줘 참나야 안줘 제비 참나야 대체 아니 안송도 깨나야 아니 가서래 야 차장 아니 제금 아니 고제기 아니 지금 동아 빠도 매번 연거와 연장 아니 텐더에 가서 그 동안라 직신 장네 아니 집에 텔레 저기 니바 아니 라마 군조선라 여바 이체베 권네 아니 군조선라 잡수 dro베기 아니 잠조 닌다바네 아니 제거와
So then at that time, if to get rid of this the attitude that is only interested in the events of this current life, one needs to meditate, make effort at meditating upon the fact that one will not live very long. This body that one's currently obtained won't last long, but is instead inevitably disintegrates due to impermanence, and that disintegration is death. One thinks about this in three ways: that it's definite that we are going to die. At the time of our death is uncertain, and after we die, there's nothing but the Dharma that will be of any value to us. So meditating on impermanence of death in that way. And then also one has to make effort at meditating upon the way in which after death, there's only two possibilities. Either we're going to go into a positive, pleasant form of existence, or we're going to fall into a lower, miserable state of existence. And if at present we don't create the karma for being reborn into a good state of existence in the next life, it's definitely the case that we'll inevitably fall into a lower state of existence and have to suffer extreme forms of suffering, such as intense heat, intense cold, forms of hunger and thirst, that are unimaginable, and then other kinds of sufferings that occur among the beings of the lower realms of existence, and we'll have to wander in those sorts of states of existence for an indefinite period of time. And then so at that time, once one's meditated on the inevitability of death and the impermanence of death, and the forms of suffering that one experiences when wandering in the lower realms of existence, then one has to give rise to a genuine attitude which has a terror at the falling into these lower states of existence. And that terror is what gives one generates within oneself a heartfelt certainty with regard to the values of the objects of refuge. Here, the objects of refuge are the Guru and the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And one thinks about the good qualities of the objects of refuge with a genuine sort of mind, which that genuine attitude entails recollection of the terror that would befall one if one wanders in the lower realms of existence.
Oh yeah. Oh, just some and then like in Taban how I get out. Kunjasum la sub just to any jamdo, Namdake. Any just to draw as a maza, tea, lavja, tumon, tumo, my lavjadang. Tatina and that jamdi lavjagan and the Zawadi, and you got your tamjaji, she, Lande, Isivi Teba. Langewata, Pechawata, Majawata, Chawachuma Sabala, Sowaki, and the Landela is Sambukone, Landela Isivi, Teba go to Mane, Gabade, and the Temper Chadi. Yenzang, Deva Legi Debu, Devadang, Mikibi Legi Debu, Dunga Imba de Shevin Gane, Deva Devata Dunga Mituba Randes Yoba Yenzang, Ani Casa Dunga Medena Dunga Jitu, Mikawa Pongawata. Gawa Dugu and David do, I Gawa and Jugawa, give me be Judola bashing. Kasi, Annie, Nemo Mamadam, I tend to one to Maguata, Nemo Mawata, Michelle Lasawaki, and not too much even Jutaki Wangi, Annie, or was a make it lazy, Lala Jogo Chuna Yang, Annie Yabutoshi Guane, or Nivala Dakasan. Nimbotoshi Guane. Number Sinji Vetodan, Nivala Lato Vetodan. Any castle attended to them, Yambokundu Chivetosi, Toshi Guane, any Lamdi Gundu Shubacha, Toshi Guane, any Shabakilam Gundu Shubatacha. So then once one gives rise to that heartfelt confidence in the good qualities of the objects of refuge, the guru and the three jewels, one has to give rise to that. Then having generated that unshakable heartfelt confidence in them, one needs to abide in the discipline that's common to going for refuge, the avoidance of the 10 kinds of non-virtuous actions, and remain in, if one has taken the vows that are common to, one has taken vows that are the common vows that are entailed by going for refuge, then one has to abide upon those vows, remain faithful to those vows, and train oneself in the positive things to be practiced that pertain to refuge. Then one also has to generate in multiple ways a sort of a confident faith in the reality of karma and its results. This confident faith in the reality of karma and its results is the foundation of all of the forms of virtuous conduct, all of the virtuous practices that are found within the Dharma are founded on this the confident belief and faith in the relationship between karma and its results. Lendri la ngepatang, le ngepatang. Pelchewa. So with karma, then it's definite. If one creates the cause, that action, then one will experience the result. So that and also karma that one's created can increase in its effects. And the karma that one has not created, one will not have to experience the results of. And then on the other hand, karma that one has created is never lost. So these features of karma and the relationship between the action of karma and the results that one experiences from that, one has to generate this confident trust or belief in that by thinking about that in multiple ways, and make that certainty with respect to that confident faith or trust in karma and its results very, very firm. Then one should, having done that, one should make effort to avoid being engaging in non-virtuous actions, turning away from engaging in non-virtuous actions. Make a great deal of effort to that, such that one doesn't become stained with the non-virtue. That one is not stained by non-virtue. But if one does perform non-virtuous actions, then one should constantly engage in the path of the four powers. Here, one should do that to the extent that one is able to. The four powers, ngajeji tu ngajeji de ba chewa la tu khon do song de joba de number 6 be to
So
sinje mi je ba to ba de nyawa la to be to.
So the first one is the wish to the regret towards having performed an action in the past, recognition of the action the negative action once performed, and the regret for having done that, and then forming the firm determination not to perform that negative action again in the future.
아니 연복군도 집에 또 이봐 답을 채도 아니 개와 가르쳐야 연복군도 접죠 그 조발에.
And then purifying the power of the antidote to that, so that whatever kind of negative action that one's performed, one employs the appropriate antidote to that, so as to purify that negative action.
아니 땡지도 점도 섬제 쳐봐도 땡지도.
And then the power of the support. Is that how you say that? Good. Yeah. Power of the support. Support here. That's exactly. The power of the support here is by relying upon the 3 jewels, going for refuge to the 3 jewels. That serves as the fourth power of these 4 powers.
Oh yeah.
And one should do this constantly.
Oh yeah. 어디 도시 남도 진슈바 세샤. 어테다 아니다 나송 가서래. 내한테 이름을 봐 치와당. 치위치에서 아니 가서래 내가난 거 제수진에 나송도 좀 출산이. 아니 근데 동안라 지시 잡고 군조선라 잡도 잡아당. 아니 랜데라 랑도 출신도 제발라 써와기. 아니 미그 집은 거 출신도 써와대. 되게 아니 교충이 남남 다 초대 말에 교충이 남 차수 쳐봐세.
So then, once one recognizes the situation that one is in, that one has obtained an excellent life, and that this life is going to end very quickly, inevitably, and at the end of that life, one is going to proceed into the future, depending upon what kind of actions one performs at present and has performed in the past. So that, with recognition of that, when one sees that one has only 2 alternatives. One is either going to go into a positive state of existence, a happy state of existence, or a miserable form of existence according to the virtuous and non-virtuous karma that one performs. So with recognition of that, then one, with understanding and firm conviction of that, then one goes for refuge to the 3 jewels, and one takes up the training of avoiding the 10 kinds of non-virtuous actions, and then lives one's life within that. And then when one does perform negative actions, then one needs to purify them by means of the opponent powers, as have been described. If one lives one's life in that way, then one has entered into the path of the person of lesser scope.
Oh yeah, 아니每个주봉 그出진 양수 남바 랜데라 라렌도 따지每个주봉 그出진 양수 랜바라 때네 다叫起码온도 류된 안 당하라도 선다 토바 나시지 토바 저지 이나양 다 류된데 토바라 동아지라실래 마다베 코로와 지당 체자 얘네 이 풍부대 라미 지 동아당 지리 아니 코와 지 동아 다 출라 써와 얘라 써와 숨라 써와 아니 다 체자도 아니 그 좋아서서 그 제가 나지라 써와기 아니 지단 체자기 님이 마음도 삼네 아니 동아 삼들 간라 아니 동아 믿어 봐인다 아니 동아 믿어 봐라 아니 동아라 공대기로 예고와 인자 아니 코와 지라 로 진도체서 거의 편저 로 진도체
So then, after one has become, has internalized the portions of the Dharma which pertain to a person of lesser scope, then and has internalized those, then one should turn one's mind as much as possible towards thinking about the negative defects, the defects of the general life in samsara. Here, general samsara can be understood in multiple forms. There's a way of meditating upon it in terms of 6 general characteristics of samsara, or there's 8 general characteristics which pertain to samsara in general, or 3 characteristics. And then, one also should reflect upon the specific defects of the particular realms of samsara, the 6 different realms and the different kinds of negative aspects of all of those forms of existence. And by reflecting on that repeatedly, on the negative negative effects of being in samsara in general and in the particular realms of samsaric existence, then one should turn one's mind away from samsara in general to the extent that one is able. Here one thinks about the different forms of samsaric existence, and in doing this, one is striving to develop an attitude which is no longer interested in the different kinds of good things that life within samsara has to offer.
Oh yeah, then ko khala juwi se kala then ko wa de sa ja nyele ji phombo de ani khala juwi shi dunga tan je ani phombo de la ten junga yin zang dunga do ba la phombo de la ani do ba ji ko ko wa re yin zang ko wa khala juwi shi ju de kare re sa na da lu me do nan de wu nyele ji phombo me do ba yin zang ju le nyin we so ne 아니 디나네야 아니 가서 잡아 아니 단체 말이발 투바인데 아니 오니모 본데 제미지 본데 그 안로 제마 많이 받게 봐. 게 아니 본와체 본니모 가서 본데 그로 제마 많이 받게데 안에 사자지 품부 아니 가서를 여부 코와를 좋아 쳐봐라. 조제 그 남대 다 단체 본제 그 년보데 아니 추림지 나와 땡찬이 등은지 나와다 셔럽지 나와지 나숨 지당 아니 쳐봐도 랑그 캐랑바기 아니 가소래 소다그 좀 봐라 써봐 캐랑이 메게 접은 거 추림을 써와라 아니 배고와
So then, once one develops as much as possible an aversion to samsara in general, that is, one turns one's mind away from the general samsara as in general, then one has to understand, develop a non-artificial desire to get rid of the cause from which samsara arises. Here again, samsara is the aggregates which are appropriated by means of due to mental afflictions and the karma which is generated from the mental afflictions. So one has to understand that cause. The cause is the mental afflictions themselves at the root, and then the karma that's motivated by them. So then one has to, once one develops the desire to get out of samsara, one has to develop the wish to get rid of the cause of that samsara. And at the root of all of the causes of samsara, all of the mental afflictions, is the misconception of the self, the misapprehension of the self as being real. And so one must develop a authentic wish to get rid of that and all of the other mental afflictions that are based upon that. One has to identify these mental afflictions, and then and the karma that comes from the mental afflictions as the cause which gives rise to samsara. And then then one has to engage in the general practice of the path, the three trainings, which is the method by which one achieves liberation from samsara. The three trainings here are the antidote, the higher training in ethical conduct, in meditative concentration, and then wisdom. Those and then in particular, one needs to make effort at the vows of individual liberation, that whatever among them oneself has taken up.
Oh yeah, 대다 지구 준비 청구나 차수 출발나 등교 다 과거지단 제라게 이미 산에 코여자와 단지 매를 빠빵고 와다 단지 말을 빠빵와 라양 아니 본지기 연보 아니 나왔음 냠수 연발라 때네 아니 다 가르서나 동안 여와는 지위 아니 타바 토야기 토바 제바가 아니 지구 청구 등교 청구에서 차수 출발나 다 라니 시조롱와 최신도 만주 조와 군자 텐라와 소와나지 라니 시조롱와 수바 코베 자조롱네 동아와 티신도 아니 마게 semjen 남장 아니 태단자와 송와 일라 체네 아니 랑 동아지 나와 신도 semjen 현양 동아지 나와라 미스비 인제 자와 젠지 아니 semjen다 동아단 자와 체바 동아단 자데 Rawa Chebala Rala Nuva Mebe, Nuva Sula Yuna, Anilana Bayanda, Zobe Sanje Kombala Yoba, the Sene, Ani Chidu Java Semjen, Dunga Jinyam, Semjen Ditamje, Dunga Judan Java, Travi Chidu, Dagana Bayanda, Zobe Chanju Koma, Toba Chao, Yabi, Ani Chanjuk Semjang.
So then, once one's done, one has internalized the portions of the Dharma which pertain to the person of intermediate scope here, referring to a recognition of the general defects of samsara, the defects of samsara in general, recognition of the causes of samsara, which is the mental afflictions and the karma which arises from the mental afflictions, and then the result of that karma being the contaminated aggregates which are appropriated due to the mental afflictions and karma, and then specifically recognizing the root mental affliction, which is the form of ignorance which misapprehends the self. Having understood that, then one engages in the practice of the three higher trainings, the foundation being ethical discipline, the training in ethical discipline, then based upon that, meditative concentration, then finally wisdom, higher wisdom, which serves as the direct antidote to the misapprehension of the self. And so one has to make effort in understanding those and applying oneself to them, particularly to the training in ethical discipline. So once one has internalized that, then one should recognize that just as oneself has fallen into the ocean of existence, just like that, all of one's mothers as well have arrived at the same kind of situation. And one has to fix one's attention upon that. So fixing one's attention upon the fact that just as oneself has fallen into the ocean of existence, so too have all of one's mothers fallen into this ocean of existence. Based upon that, then one one should train oneself in the bodhicitta, which has as its root love and compassion. Love, which is the wish to free the other mother sentient beings from samsara. Compassion, which is unable to bear the sufferings of the mother sentient beings who have fallen into the ocean of existence. So once one recognizes the situation of one's mother sentient beings in having fallen into the ocean of existence, then one has to think that how can I help them? At present, I'm not able even to lift myself out of this ocean of existence. Who has the power to do that? Only the Buddha really has the power to directly and effectively help lead all sentient beings to freedom from samsaric suffering. Therefore, I must myself become a Buddha in order to be able to help them, sentient beings, become free from samsara. That is itself the bodhicitta, wish to achieve awakening for the sake of all sentient beings. And so one needs to make effort towards that to the extent that one is able to.
Oh yeah. 요 장주지 쌤장을 기계를 배고 다 장주지 쌤면은 안에 지서 바로 추당 안에 생각이 게림다 저름다 레미소 안에 마음에 봐그 토쳐받은 드라이버에 세다 장주기 쌤 고고 그 토쳐받은 드라이버 장주기 쌤라 안에 장데 명원 장주기 쌤라 대라 녀이 넘버 10도 개와 나서 다 장주기 쌤 제만 많이 받지 마게나요 녀이 넘버 10도 개와나 아니 참면심 탐자자숭화당 아니 주동 아니 자세지져봐라 놈들 아니 주동 초과했습니다 아니 티 자주선비도 없지라잖아 배대 아니 면심 탐자자 지대 차와당 대내 겨봐 납쳐와 남라 아니 가소래 럽주대 아니 녀라 아니 자주선비 납자라도 주바당 도바게 참대다 시와 차네 아니 겨봐라 놈들 겨고 그래 럽데 깨니 대깨와나 되니 주동 초과했은 거래 당보면서 탐자자 숭 되네 겨봐라 놈대체 겨봐라 로야기 주도가 주름되지 남사체 제가 아니 주동 초과했습니다.
So then, once one needs to make effort to training oneself in that bodhicitta, which has love and compassion as its root. If one doesn't have that bodhicitta, then trying to practice the 6 perfections, trying to engage in the 2 stages or processes of mantra. These such higher practices are like somebody who's building a roof of a house without having built the foundation. It's just like that. And therefore, when one has developed, given rise to a little bit of experience with respect to bodhicitta, this means it doesn't entail that one has a sort of natural, spontaneous bodhicitta, but one must have developed a bit of experience, sort of sensation associated with the wish to become a Buddha for the sake of others. When one has that kind of experience, then one should take up the aspirational form of bodhicitta by means of the rite, the ritual that by which one takes up the aspiring form of bodhicitta, and then one needs to make effort to practice the things which are to be trained in that pertain to that kind of aspirational bodhicitta. And one should make one's mind as firm as possible within the aspirational form of bodhicitta. That is a form that the sort of the vow, the firm intention to have that attitude. And then one should. So then having listened to the various extensive trainings that and practices that bodhisattvas engage in, and having understood the limits of what one is supposed to engage in and what one is supposed to avoid with respect to the practices, the extensive practices of the bodhisattvas, then one should give rise to the desire to train oneself in those extensive practices of the bodhisattvas. And when that has been generated, that strong desire to train in those extensive practices, then one should take up the active form of bodhicitta by means of a ritual. And and it's at that time that one takes up the active form of bodhicitta. So initially, one develops bodhicitta, has some minimal experience of it. Then one takes on the aspirational form of bodhicitta and the practices connected with that. Then finally, one takes on the active form of bodhicitta and engaged bodhicitta, and then trains oneself in the practices that are connected with that.
Oh, yeah, that 주좀 놈데 손에 안에 란지 메지 당 안에 현지 메지 누용을 라시와 안에 파진 주다 안에 누워신 오셔 라베다 캬바도 안에 자동기 말고 봐 안에 쏟아 되와 제다 안에 사바 친중기 녀와 자동것이 메종기 녀와 안에 사바 친중 오다 텐데 중앙 있나야 안에 요 녀와는 지 막고 와라 배야 가서 녀와 그네장 아니 동아 치지도 거네 샤돈 배고에 걔네 안에 파진 타만이래 캬바도 놓고와 잠대교로는 캬와 챤라스 나 다음에 이제 됐다와남다 줄에 제제 차지 녀바단 다도现在 정화수 셰와 챤라 텐저비 3点的 셰름이 신앙의 상동게 변다와 인지 아니 대니래 수바시라 참조 거예요 말이 스타트업을 주시다.
So then, once one has done that in that way, taken up the vows that are connected with the active form of bodhicitta, then one should develop one's own continuum. One should mature it by means of the 6 perfections, and one should train oneself in the 4 means of attracting disciples, which are designed to ripen the continuums of others. And in particular, one should avoid the root downfalls of bodhicitta at the risk of one's life. And then one should make effort at not being stained by any of these sort of faults, whether one is talking about the least or the intermediate form of the defilements that are connected with faulty behavior connected with the practice of bodhisattva's practices. And if one does become stained by these defilements, then one should engage in confession and further restraint in order to repair the vows that one has taken. And then one should particularly, because it's necessary to particularly train in the 2 last perfections, one should become skilled in the way of maintaining meditative concentration and accomplish meditative concentration, achieve single-point meditative concentration. And then one needs to, as much as possible, generate within one's mind a pure view which understands the 2 forms of selflessness. And having obtained that, one should understand the way in which one maintains meditation practice by continuing within the meditation practice by placing one's mind upon the view. And then in that way, one is engaging in the shamatha and vipassana, which are pertain to meditative concentration and wisdom, and that's what is called shamatha and vipassana. But there's Dinile Surpachik Mepe. Mingta Kasa Shilaki Mingta Payin Ingi.
Oh, Kadase?
Dinile Surpachik.
Aleo, Tender 3点的 Shermila Shilaki Metares, 3点 La, Ani Shinadang, Sherala, Ani Handong Metawa Yingi, 3点的 Sherala Law, Tele Super, Ani Shinada Hando Yamari, maybe chansom you don't about love loba tea semne and shilani on grace.
So, but apart from those two, that is the training in meditative concentration and wisdom, which are shamatha and vipassana, there's nothing apart from that, which is those two. And therefore, having taken up the vows of bodhicitta, vows of a bodhisattva, then one should perform them from within the practices which are training in the things which are to be developed and trained in for such a bodhisattva.
아니 십도나 되는 구조 가르래서나 디앙 라오마 곰진 고마라 톰데 쳇dro와자 라오마 베나 탄조 당 디우충을 람 곤데 잠바 아니 디우 등다 침벌을 로 톰데 쳇dro와다 고마 년바나 람 고마 아니 디우 침보산 등년바이나 야 디우충 오마라 두데 쳇를 dro와시고 그래 그래서 태난 권비 체양 또바 장화 천년 로 천년 버지고 그래 또바 장화 천년 로 천년 버지고 그래 라 고마라 톱대당 오마야 두대요 요텐이 참 그거데 대다를 람라 트비 다카레에서 람라 트비 신예라 규와 충와 나나 담보 신예라 때는데 신예라 규와 충와 나나 레조지 자와 쳐봐 임배等你还学一点就来办公嘞。
So then, showing that in order for meditation to arrive at the essential point, the way in which one is able to distinguish whether or not one's meditation is getting to the point is explained, and then the way in which one by means of subtle determination of this, one is able to reach to the essential point by means of meditation practice. With respect to this, when one is meditating on the lower portions of the path, that is, for example, the meditation upon the moment of opportunity that one has obtained, life of leisure and fortune, and when one's meditating on that, then one's desire to train in the higher paths should increase. And then likewise, when one hears of the higher paths, the higher portions of the path, about bodhicitta, wisdom, and so forth, then one's desire to accomplish the lower portions of the path should increase. It has to be like that. And then when one is meditating on those as well, one should do so by a way in which one is training one's thought so that the mind becomes equalized. That is, the lower and higher portions of the path have to be such that they are balanced with each other. And for example, here with respect to this, if it occurs that one's respect for the virtuous friend who is leading one on the path diminishes, then one needs to make effort at the way in which one serves and relies upon a spiritual master, such that by seeing that if disrespect for the spiritual teacher arises, that it will cut off the root of all of the good things that one is trying to accomplish.
Oh yeah, 今天做了白线，这些都主把了做修去哪是？俺这咱两岁两把了做修。 就从这个咱们年轻人把它，俺这找嘛穷呢，找娘呐，俺这谈说，谈说个去，谈说我也说话的，谈七话的，你也搞啊拉说话给，俺这谈就谈起你个高档，第三股的是，主把做修船呢，俺这谈就谈起你个3年，俺这主把了做修接得不起个吧。
Likewise, if one's interest and enthusiasm for accomplishment, here accomplishment means practice, practice of the path, diminishes, then one should think about extensively the portions of the path which pertain to the moment of opportunity that one's obtained, that one needs to identify what this opportunity is, this period of time we have now, and then understand that that it's the value of it, the great value of it, that it's difficult to obtain as well, and that then also that one needs to understand the fact of impermanence in the sense of death. That death is the inevitable end of this moment of opportunity that one has obtained.
어제 단조고 삼고래 대라 때는 안 두발로 주시 책이래. 다 체디랑 것이 체디 핀조랑 것이 첼송네. 첼송나 체디 핀조라 안에 가서래. 셴바 첼송나 아니 미다바. 핀조 간디지 이나양 안에 가서래. 그 님부 체리 매봐. 어디 인자 아니 미다바 거. 라 미다바. 핀조라 님부 매봐. 어다 간디지 이나야 미다바 까지그 집에 아주 봐 임바 쌈니 가성아마 쇼와나세 사바군제 타지티 첨보양에 타도죠 태비 타마 타와디 제위 타마 치와인 서나시 전에 미다바라시 인장 미다바당 치디잠바 아니다 체디 핀조라 샤네 차다 모습고 꾸냐란데 아니 미게빌레 톰데지 사여나 아니 안도르 제디 아니 남이 예도 뭐 동아 빠도 매바 뇽거야기 아니 예미 고마라 아니 예미 고마라 아니 저 배고래 배배고네 아니 체디 응시 채와데 바 도바치고래.
So then at that time, if one has excessive attachment to this life, then one should meditate as follows by and make effort to meditation upon the fact of impermanence. Here, impermanence in this case is again recognition that one is inevitably going to die, and that at the time of death is uncertain, and that where one is going after death is unknown, and that at the time of death also then there's no other refuge other than the Dharma practice that one has performed while one's Dharma practice. And then also think about the way in which impermanence works to destroy all of any kind of thing that one has accomplished or accumulated within the course of this life, no matter what kind of excellent things one has acquired, a property or whatever. All of these things are going to inevitably disappear when one dies, and one will know. So recognition of that enables one to see that the excellent things of this life are without any essence. They have no essence within them. And so one needs to observe that, and then also has to reflect that the effort that one puts into accomplishing a lot of good things in this life, to earn them or to bring them together and to get them, is often the cause of, is often involved with negative action, and that negative action that one, effort that one put into the negative action to accumulate a lot of things in this life will serve as a cause for one's going into a lower state of existence after one dies. And so then, therefore, when one finds oneself under the control of excessive attachment to this life, one should principally meditate upon the negative consequences of the fact of impermanence, and then also the negative consequences of going into a lower realm of existence.
Oh yeah. 다들이 캐라비 아니 제삼 배수롱기 아니 제외 참당 침바예나 아니 메게 제본 그 추줌라 예와 나나 아니 랜데 곰니 두개와 제발라 대우 대와다 미개와 제발라 대우 동아 콘도샤베 랜데기 아니 남샤 쪼 곰바차
So then in addition then, when it appears that one is deviating from the vows that one's taken up, here the vows are referred to as sort of like the boundaries or limits upon one's behavior that one has taken up. So here the vows could entail, for example, for lay people will take up the vows of abandoning to the extent as much as possible the 10 sorts of non-virtuous behavior. Then when it appears to one, when one recognizes or observes that one is deviating from these vows that one has taken up, that one has vowed to maintain, then one should principally meditate upon the karma and its results.
Call a Joshua Chunas. I know calling Masamba. I know calling maybe Joshua Chuna, call a Chuna, and a Tabatanyaki, Lord, the Titam the Drogres, Titam the Drawer Yinza. I know calling Yemi Samina. I know calling what you and I get it Zamba. I need Tabatanyaki, Lord Tanya by the Gigawa Yinza. Castle. Oh. You are what that's it. You mean some, yeah.
So then, if one finds that one's disgust towards samsara has diminished, then one should, and one's interest in achieving liberation becomes reduced to mere words, then one should think about the the defects of samsara. So here, the defects of samsara, as mentioned above, the general defects of the 3 forms and the 6 forms, 8 forms of general defects, as well as the specific defects of the different realms of existence within samsara that have been mentioned above, and one should think about those.
아니 코알라 내가 좀 어디 제가 유한다 생야 동아 연대니 교회 그바세와치 전에 좀 순주산데 대인바리 예자 타바트니 시점도 저바 코인 이미 삼라스 지제 심전다 대기 요整个国前지제 심전지团队级别路修差吧ji 메나나 아니 특전지 자와치 봐야 특바치 베람지 자와 체베 아니 면심 주단 자와라 나나마 바양다바 저거 산제 공부 톰데 제디 아니 심제 타양 나양 미당와탕 아니 미당 냠바기 아니 면심 탐자자 정와라 장야
Then, so here, this if one's revulsion towards samsara is diminished, then one should think about the defects of samsara and see instead of seeing the pleasures of samsara as being desirable, recognize them as what they are, as essenceless, without any merit. That concludes the instruction on the intermediate, the stages of the path for a person of intermediate scope. Then, in terms of the third type of path for the person of greater scope, it says that if one's interest and the force of mind which wishes to engage in activities for the sake of other sentient beings, if that appears such that it doesn't have any power, then because this will act to cut off the root of the great vehicle, one should train oneself in the form of bodhicitta, which is the aspirational form of bodhicitta, the attitude which wishes to achieve unexcelled perfect awakening for the sake of all sentient beings. Develop that mind together with the causes that give rise to it, and so one has to train oneself in that attitude as well as the causes that give rise to it.
Oh yeah, that means getting teachela. Ane chedu java semjentin to sanje ju komba tobi chedu. Ane jasa ji java chindu la loba. Ane jasa ji tomba lane. Ane chindu la loba ti chena. 아니 댄징기 텐징기 칭와 Tsongkhapa nana Tenzing Tenzing Chimam or any Tenzing Chima Tsongkhapa nana Tenzing meet the Rixi Tsila Tenzing Xianyu any castle Demeto be Rixi Xila any Rixi Xini any Gaza Dendro Gasamji any Mega Nagatabu any or the Yasanagata with Tombatang. Tijela any Nanjang, Rashinji to Nanyang, Nanjang, Rashinji Matubagi, any Jeto Kimatabu La Jangure.
So then, after training in the aspirational bodhicitta in the way that's just been described, if one has taken up the vows of a bodhisattva, a son or daughter of the victors, then when one is attempting to train oneself in those practices, if one finds that one's is bound by apprehension of images or signs here when one's attempting to train in that way, then and that one finds that one's bound to those to grasping at the images or signs. Here, this is referring to the appearance of things as if they were real, which are the objects which are misapprehended, or which are fictitious objects which are apprehended by the misapprehension of things as being real. Then, and one finds oneself is bound to those images that are appearing to one, and they appear such that that bondage to them is very forceful. Then one should destroy them by means of the rational awareness, which one should destroy the focal points of the grasping at things as being real by means of the rational awareness. Tsenzengi mikde rikshegi
mikde tsenzengi mikde tenzenge mikde temba shuwa yu temba chuwa de ani rikshegi shila se rikshegi shikpam kala an ka zamgi ani mega tomba ni de la mi badera ani nyamshana gata wudang na temba ma chuba de jeto jimata bi tonye la chang.
So then, where it says here the focal points of the grasping at images, this is referring then to the focal points of the misapprehension of things as being real, where so those are to be destroyed by the analytical awareness, which investigates the final nature of things. And by means of that, then one enters into and trains oneself in the emptiness, which is like space, which is the simple elimination of the object of negation, the absence of that object of negation, or in the period after that kind of meditative absorption on the absence of the object of negation. Then when one arises out of that meditation, one trains oneself in the things as appearing like an illusion, so that phenomena, when they appear, although they appear as if they exist by means of their own intrinsic nature, one understands that they don't actually exist that way. They appear that way, but they don't exist by means of their own intrinsic nature.
Oh yeah, don't you讲？但是当你点了把餐你。当把你讲，但是没办法，俺那没把讲的咱把没办法，什年没得吧？俺那那边给钱都就完那，俺那这几边拿下来早白过来是没办法，你那边当请过来说怕洗完钱呢，天天给人不带呢，这几边拿下来早讲话，俺那那么恐怕那么就送的，我第一次呢，他在地里马下把那么讲。那写完钱呢，到那去看说的，哪里错的马上哇，他些错的嘛，哪里错的马上哇，就给位错他们家了，俺那两年错的马上哇，是吧？就给位错他们家了，俺那过程去过的，
So then when one finds that it appears as if one's mind has become a slave to distraction, here distraction can be understood as referring to both sinking as well as scattering in terms of the opponents to the development of meditative concentration, and such that one's mind doesn't want to reside upon the object of meditation, then one should principally train oneself with respect to the single-pointed abiding of the mind, that portion of meditative practice, which is the single-pointed abiding portion of meditation. And this is, all of these statements above are as they were taught by the previous masters. And likewise, and by means of that which has been stated here, one should symbolized or represented by what has just been stated above, one should also understand the things which have not been explained immediately here. And in brief, without allowing oneself to practice in a partial fashion, one needs to employ oneself such that one's entire continuum of existence is entirely involved in the sight of virtue.
Oh yeah, that the end of Shandong Shaba to smart or Sache, Shandong, that day Shaba Kashiam do Lamji to Tedang, and that day near to Soma Song Chabadang, Toba Shift to Nenzu. So this
is the as So previous to this, then we went over the specific portion of the text which deals with the actual way of developing insight throughout that entire portion of the text. But then this portion here that we've just read is not specific to the insight section of the stages of the path. Rather, it's a general instruction for how one is to practice the entirety of the stages of the path and the way in which that is to be done.
Shira Yabuche, Page, Missima Yabuche, the Inzanda, Consore, Jerumuchi, turn a Shiva Chevi, Guayang, Cheba Yimbe, Trevi turn la Rara, Nuwa than to be Lale, net to show, Jenny, Danga, Samala Dana Yori. That do I am. Oh, at the time I give to the dance, anything to pass it. I had found on the December de la Sierra Gauchons. I didn't that Yambu go at the career as a young woman, turn a Shiva Chevi, Guayang, and a cousin Cheba Yimbe, Trevi turn la Rara, Lalena, Nuarantibe, Lalera, net to show Chayigana, Tambo Trevi go at the career as an that Shiva Cheva de race. Shene Karichigore, Shene, and the castle turn a shiver ship go at the career, that Lalin share race. Turn a shiver ship go on, Cheba Yimbes. Trevi turned Della, that rangi, New Land to me, and a Lalere, Chugo at the net to show a rate. Just don't worry.
So we've spent some time now listening to the section on insight from the intermediate stages of the path to awakening, and that's really a wonderful thing. The reason why have we done that? This is explained. Jay Rinpoche has explained this. He says that the purpose of listening to teachings is so that one can understand them. We need to hear these first in order to be able to understand them. And then what is the purpose of understanding them? It's so as to put them into practice. That's why that's what the purpose of understanding them is, to put them into practice. So then, within the entire stages of the path, then one can say that the four truths are the kind of the core of it, and that one needs to listen to these repeatedly, not just be satisfied with a single hearing about them, but rather one needs to hear them over and over again, and likewise think about them over and over again, develop further and further understanding. The purpose of all of this is to be able to put them into practice, and that's, if one does it that way, then it's excellent. So there's a statement, why do we need to listen to these things repeatedly? Why do we need to think about them repeatedly? The Lama Kunu Rinpoche told His Holiness the Dalai Lama that if we don't think about these things over and over again repeatedly, then it's a defect in our effort, and that was an instruction that he gave. So this is something that we can apply to ourselves as well, that the need to repeatedly reflect upon the meaning of the teachings. So then these texts, many of them have been translated into English. So other languages, many different foreign languages, they can be read in those languages if you have good good texts. And then likewise, many of the works that were originally translated from Indian languages into Tibetan, many of them are being translated into various foreign languages. So if one is able to read these and think about them repeatedly, then and continue to study and to learn these subjects, then I think it's extremely good.
Oh yeah, but因为山东人那边出来，山东个错点吧，山东个人员，山东关边说，关边山东特别菜多，在地下下的啊，30辈子没得交这么个钱，30辈子，30辈子。
Om Benzo Bhumi, okay?
Om Benzo Bhumi,
Om Benzo Bhumi, Om Wanchen Sergi Saji, Om Benzo Regge, Om
Shi Chari Goyu Goyu Ri Jao Kore Ra Jao Lo Zam Rambulin, no,
Kalangche, John, Raminian,
and the and then the Zoto, Raminian,
Sunmo Rinpoche, Lambo Rinpoche, Tajo Rinpoche, Mapon Rinpoche, Derchen Boye Bumba, Kema, Chawama, Luma, Dharma, Medoma, Dubema, Nansama, Jejama, Yema, Dawa, Rinpoche, Jovanam Bhargave Gyatse Saladame Pancho Person Sawama Samwame
Taji Yedo Jeda Jinjan Sawada Jeba Jere Banyanama
Dambana Debardu Yang Yong Ki Kewe Shen Yan Chenpo Song Jangse Churche Lo Sang Gen Sin Chok Lo Sang Bu Shang Ane Tekpa Chenpo Song Chu Sap Moldek Barto Pe Katin Tan Raki
Yendo Shingambu
Yo Tukche Drowe Tundu She Su So Yang Da Tso Proa Margyur Nam Ke
Tada Nyambi Samjian Tamjian La Tuse Wa
Chenpo
Bonen Shinje La So
Saji Pagi Jetsun Lame
뭐 안주대 말안주대 아니다 상동 천년 제외 개회 자와들라 때네 아니 저 장군 대왕 한번 탐제 쳐다 아니 걔가 그 위위 아니 된지 제지 참반은 구제 샵에 땜비치도 아니 걔와 조장랑 그와 오야당 아니 티치 생당한도 여기 샵된데다 안 걔라 샵된데 직송 소로지是吧 하고서 그냥 한쪽이 나와지기 상동대 천년 제외 아니 개회 자와 되게 아니 장군 여행 뭐 터져 전부 쳐다 아니 걔라 그 유비 아니 된지 교우다 말해서 맞아 된지 교우다 봐나 구제 셰바 가르치기 투시시대 된지 집이지도 개와 뭐야체 아 대단 그냥도 아니 이제 개회 샵된다 아니 걔라 그 샵된데 마치도 제제라 아니 남주 라그런 그 말로 됐다 좀 체.
So then here, when we should, while we're doing this, the prayer that we usually do, the last prayer here, or the prayer of the Lamrim abbreviated stages of the path, we should dedicate the merits that we've generated here by listening to the insight section of this text, to the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, as well as the and also for the long life of our teacher. And then also for all the other teachers who hold the teaching, and so we should do that with that in mind.
Oh. Ramjam Javi Sansum, Dila Tatang, Chibur Chatam Hocha. This cannot be Shapton Tajin and Dang, Ramjam Javi Tatam Hocha. Malu Bakandu Jian Chave Juju, Sishi Gele Gunjo Yishino, Uji Tinjan Lameson, Taja Dushu Trabi Sadena, Kanjan Wumbo Tenji, Kuze Mishi Kajara Tenji, Shedin Juju. 清规少清当年就别度人度尽一些军民，长眉担当点北经过都下月一当老祖他们家，大家都有这边说的那看见广播电视叫做，不是没些个家的人就写的人就这个情节。 帮助原来民族这类也能做个家族大钱，看在多久我老爷老人家的上家我他们家，大家都有这笔所的那看见广播电视家族也估计没些个家的，现在人家住我今夜落几天送了看给俺住，初度希望能将那边的上面。 没我归上给位，这种他别去接所难了，他别他做这别说的，看见公布电视家属也估计没些高家这电视写的人家做我今年，看给。 先把一点灯，我上家园一些钱，能到多些床来面前把这桌旁边滚的他们，大家都有差别说的，那看见广播电视家属也估计没些个家人，现在人家住我亲戚了，开始新大年有的这都得到人家住别的。 那就拉上住拉出这边，那时候看着说呢，大家都有这边说的那看见广播电视家属，估计没些个家长电视现在人也着我今年了，多去抢给搞大家，明朝这边推动你管那电上电子教育都在一些简单电送家属了，大家都有这边说。 看见广播电视家属也会在没些个家长，现在人家住我亲戚老太太路面夹起桥上了，树下年年归月上，没事你们送我让我为大嫂当中住月关系。 网络上电视家属就上说没些没有没能把兄弟用着多些年，搞我家属有没大点小让家家我滚节在，你都差不顺为老亲戚，吃了滚边路边人包间先包间先人家。 昨天刚上那个过，之前我是接触到， tu den shu de kun do ra da ve ge zan si shi zan mo je cha na be me shi la du zhe zhe da so ni ge so so xie ga xin zhui be che be rang nian ne kun sang jie zhou jia su ta xun xiao me zhong se jie jie den zhi lu me be tan ba tan da ge la san ta be tu men be ten gen de la ni zhou xiao ten be nyang xia ru ve zhe da me dong zhao da xie lan zu ge ba mo xie xian yi xie gu li la zhou jie tian de qian men jie jie zhu jia bu xiong luo man de lin bie zhen mo nan lu de zhu yue li xian yi yu bu gun se pa da zhu yue zhi li jie zhu li mian ba se zhe xiao den zhu nian jie xiao xiao lin zuo xiao nian zhu ri ge wei xiao luan gao bo jiu gan dian ye jie gun dian men yue du zhen zhe dan ba qian du xiao dan xiu tu bie dan ba ri be li du xie jie wu song jie lam jie jin jiang da xiao yan da la la zhi ge ye chen jin xian me qian bu xiao dan xiu he jie ni niao yu xiao xiao yue nian zu liao zhen si bie se jie qin le me zhou ba la me dan de wu yong yu du xiu xie xie du yu mi xie xin yi za zu yue gun ye sa la ma re ba xie xie la ma xiao dan mian zhao xian jie jie ban de jie wei ju jiu ya yu ran jiang nan jie qian lao da dan zhu ma ga qi ni zhou bie da jiao yang xi ji nian ji jie men jiu bu niu du xiu ji zhen la me gu zhe ra dan jian nan ga zhi le zhu jiu jie wa da luo san den be zhe me sa zhu yu me se da du ne yu ji te ni ren du ve le zhou ni ni ka da yang ba gang xie san wo de ma re ge duan zhu wai gui nan zhen jiao yue wang bo da jiu xie tian ma sen bie che ra gun du yang zhan bie yang ye che wei che 天别人报归藏老也就年年住月家那也接受让别去心多别老马也呢树照在长别大概诸位一见面把杀见家别担保有人人有些担保人家就给妈呀家家娘把就为就的年纪前边也让给把也变的上我接吧世界教育没就这来住上就来一人呗大的那也来把的些家为这把人都就那么上主别天界主姐嘎着姐我也对姐姐面当面这让我对姐呀啊吧也拉曼达拉达着曼就罗姐看着的吧也出去就来姐出现着了怎么出去把的也姐多的那么也要着姐扎些又出去姐的是讲也这个加油姐看着那个我也不写上还现在是往等人家作业下班时的发作等这真那么故事啥等这啷个这来求求讲路上等白这没少送去注意没少去那就这想就生就人不这马也把那这话让我呀看明火锅的不听听起我前辈把其他前把更多上坡的样都也出去他估计这所大路去给我的大他们家绕都这种西北家娃他们家我看了桥头大概给找我这个上坡去绕都我这没有世界界我俩都是现在俺们边等把当大概拉上大别都 남다 메포요 남다 메고 저 주제 자고 정가외 제조 남바 배와다 개제 참마시 진행 마리 상와쇼 다당 현지 투순당 소년라 대한 자와 노상자 담바 유련 바조야
강계dunye duringalngunne 강식darje yule namgyalde 강양도와 침대 강제돌제 세이무보르 고젠갸와 야츠 성외츠 수직기도 잠깐 룩상초 족덕득진 돌저 제수단 댄센터와 worship 댄쇼 동학승룩지신 식배로 여성구절 Sing, dancing, dark pegu, make your door war so long to chip on do sick boarding, Susan some page and barda, conjunct little shit up socket, center cool, she gars and choke, long low talk and pay long young lay, Kelson to jar pende, to jar. Ya danse så gjorde tjutsen wong Tjekke ludrup ni og changdek wong Time rikpe chide mi sepe Jamse mawe sengeche Soke choki langbo shabden shok Sakun yachen dinde kumpasang Kakun kenki drina De Kelsang Loyi Terbo Jinze Pa Zombe Pa Wodaru Shabdan Shok Dorna Jamgan Lode Wangbu Shong Kundu Sangbo Chatwan Yongso Pa Shedro Pembe Kelsen Zimbala Dadral Semba Jembor Shabdan Shok Gangje Lope Pemek Korpor Zel Mitun Gengi Namyang Mitzi Par Lundu Dapdong Number Drawala Ngelek Chuki Yongsu Tam Kyurjik Laksang Dakpe Munped Le Drungbe Regong Paksam Yongsu Jong Duni Drebo Yurse Demba Yi Choknam Kundu Drashi Bar Kyurjik
Radhen Jinanga Joye mi se da do ne ya tu la mi ku jo ya tu ji sa de ga den bi jin dang ga dang da lo sang jia yue dan bo jie yu ji wo ya tu ji che see you next year